Hey guys, Jason here again. This time we're going to be working on the Pajero again. We did get a good bit done last time. We got all the timing gear and everything on, so that's good. The belts have arrived now for the alternator and stuff that we didn't get done last time. And then off camera throughout the week here, I've done a few bits and pieces. We got this assembly all sorted right now. You see me make this in the last one, but it's painted and it's all bolted in there now. We also have new fuel lines from the fuel tank to here, and then the return back to the tank. We had an issue with the stack pipes on the fuel tank. I'll show you that now. They didn't actually look too bad. I took it off, cleaned it, covered it in rust converter, painted it and put it back together again, and then while sliding the hose on, obviously the tail snapped, so I had to adapt and overcome, and this is what I came up with. So I have a good few of these here 1/2 inch tail to 3/8 mil hydraulic hose ends that I got in the scrapyard one time. So I've used 2 of those and TIG welded it to the plate here, and then TIG welded the stack pipes to this, because the stack pipes in the tank were good. It was just at the top they were rotten, and they do pass the suck test. So that's good to go, and then we'll have some hydraulic 90s and that there too, just to get us the right place. I also feel absolutely terrible this weekend, so I don't know how much I'm going to get done. I'm absolutely dosed. Another issue we had is that the wipers weren't working, so I put a new fuse in, and it blew the fuse instantly, so I pulled the motor out, and it was kind of humming, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. So I pulled the motor apart, and this is what it looks like inside. You can see here that the actual magnets on the motor housing have came loose, and they're just flopping about in there. So I think I'm going to pull this armature out, re-glue these magnets onto this plate, and see how she runs. Failing that there, we'll buy a new motor. The linkages as well, they were also seized solid, but I got them freed up. Yeah, this is the linkage here. These here, we aluminium cuffs, were seized solid on both sides, but we have them turned freely now. I think we'll just take these knuckles off and re-grease everything really good before we put it back in the car, but that's good. I'm trying to think of anything else I've done on the camera. So I was out the shed with the wee man earlier on, and we drilled the holes to hold the seat down and got them bolted in, so that's good. We do need to put the plates back on here, but I didn't want to do that until the fuel line's done. Also, when I was keeled heading the fuel lines to the old fuel lines, I seen the brake pipe that goes to the front of the back is actually being done in copper at some stage, so happy days, we don't have to redo that. This brake line here hasn't been done, but I've cleaned it up and it does look quite good, so I'm going to try and clean it a bit more and then paint it and then put some copper grease on it. What else have I done? You've seen this last time, got the brakes and all done. Still need to bleed these up. I did buy a new set of wheels, which are pretty cool. They haven't arrived yet. That'll be a wee surprise for the next upload. But yes, we have a lot to get through this time, so let's get started. Okay, we're in the boot here now, and I actually have these stack pipes fitted. You can see here, I did fit this pre-filter because inside the tank is very rusty, and when I start putting veg oil in this here, it's going to lift that all out. So that should catch the majority of it before it fills my fuel lines up. And then once we get most of it out, we'll take that out and put it back onto here again and delete that filter, but for the time being that'll be in there. So, one job done. I've still got a bit of wiring to do, but I have this plumbed up now. Haven't bled the injectors or anything. All I've did is pump diesel to the injector pump, and we'll give it a crank and see if it starts. It does. Okay, so I haven't got the intercooler or the alternator belt or anything connected, so I didn't want to run it for very long, but I just want to see if it will start. So we can now continue on to other jobs. Didn't really have to do that actually, but I did it for fun. I was more curious to see if it actually was starting or not. And it did. Happy days. Right, next up, I think what we're going to try and do is put this wiper mechanism back in. That's pretty easy done. So you feed it all in through this hole here. I'll give all these joints a coat of grease. Hopefully, because I've had them apart, they don't decide to fall apart again, but hopefully we can get it in here. Feed them through this hole here. I'm going to try and put the nuts on this here, so I'll catch up with you in a minute. There you go, that's them both in. There is a bit of rust right here that Future Me is going to have to address, but for now it's fine. So this is the arm here. So if I move it backwards and forwards, you can see they rotate. So we're halfway there, we just need a motor now. I'm going to have an attempt at fixing this motor here, and I have this all cleaned out with brake cleaner. And I don't know if I'm going to have to do this one at a time or not. I've mixed some epoxy resin up. And we're going to try and glue these magnets back down where they came from. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I feel like it's worth a try. I don't really know what glue they used originally. I would say it's not very good, but it's probably held up for 30 years, so probably pretty good. Right. Right, there's one side. See if we can get the other side in without them like pulling into each other. Okay, right. That's them glued in for now. We'll find out in the morning if it works. Well, it's the next day now, and the epoxy or glue, whatever it was I used, is dry now. So you can see in there that the magnets are still where I placed them. So we'll try putting the motor back together again and see what it does. First of all, I need to put the springs back in for these brushes. There's one. And then pop the brushes in at the same time. One. Two. So there you go, that's them back in again. You can actually, on this one, you can just press the wire and this wee thing at the top and it holds it for you. So happy days. Next up is the armature. We have that all greased and cleaned up as well, so that can go in there. Then we can pop those round so the springs do their job. And then next up is trying to put this in without pulling the armature out of the brushes, so hopefully we could just okay. So, and then there's square holes, and there's these wee threaded brushing things you just pop in, and then you can catch your screw. And now it's time to see if it works. Hopefully it does. It's highly possible that this isn't gonna work, but I'm hopeful. Right. Put the battery back on. Oh yeah. Class. Right, time to put this all back together then. And I have this bolted back to its plate. I'll pop this in. Like that. Push it across. Just ready to go back in again. I know I didn't record myself removing this, but it's basically the reverse of this. There we go. Now we should get to see if the motor has lost any power. There we go. Happy days. That's the wipers sorted, and now we know the actual engine starts and runs as well. We can put these belts back on again, and I've got this tensioner here. I think this is for the AC pump, and I don't know if the AC works or not, but we'll put a belt on it and see what happens. I did buy a new belt. There was a new belt sitting there, which I think it's for the AC, so we'll try something out. I'm not going to record me fitting these belts because, well, you won't be able to see anything down here anyway. Well, this is a right pain in the ass. I was just tightening the bolt for the tensioner on the alternator, and the bolt snapped. So that is a way down there. So I'm going to have to struggle with that there, sort that out. What a pain in the dick. That was a bit awkward to get out. A bit of this thread was sticking out the back of the alternator, so I was able to use these pliers here and give it a good rotation until I get out far enough to get the face grips on it. But thankfully we got it out without having to take the alternator out. So I'm going to put a new bolt in that there, try a tension again, hopefully not break a bolt. I also found a bolt in my mystery box of bolts that's pretty much identical to that one, so happy days. Right, now I've got them belts all on and tensioned. We could put the radiator on, but there's one thing I want to do before I do that there. I do have this new gasket for the exhaust and the intake, and I have had this off before, so the bolts should come out pretty easily, and I'm going to do that just for peace of mind, because it'd be really annoying if the blue had a wee leak in them, so may as well get it done. It's only rubber bolts, so I'm going to blast away at that. There isn't really much to show you. It's basically, I think it's 8 bolts on each manifold. Take it off, clean the gasket area up. I'll take it off and I'll show you how bad the old gasket is anyway. You can see that I have this all off now, and this is the intake manifold. This here is where the EGR used to go, so I've drilled and tapped that there 3/4, so that's a bunged, and then this was the pressure valve. I bunged that as well. That's just an inch, so that is done, and I did clean it all up before because I was having troubles with getting this running. So I'm just going to clean the faces up a wee bit more on these here and put them back together again. The main issue is I gotta get this whole gasket off first. That's not really much of an issue, but it's gonna be gross. So that's the thing. I'm gonna sit here and scrape this all off, get it all cleaned up with brake cleaner, and then we'll put the new gasket on, put it all back together again. Well, you can see here I have this all cleaned up. I got the old gasket off, give it a good scrape down with a knife blade, and then clean it with brake cleaner, so it's ready for the new gasket to go in. Kind of handy with the exhaust gasket and the intake manifold gaskets both one, and that is the right way around there, so that's going to go in there like that. Boom, and then we slide the exhaust manifold on. Hopefully we haven't damaged the oil return, but I think it'll be okay. And then now we're just going to put the nuts on and get it all put back together again. So I'm going to tighten this up here. Then get this on, I'll put the intake manifold on, and I'll be back with you. So that's the exhaust and the intake manifold back on again. I'm going to go to the rocker cover now. I have a new gasket and new wee yokes for here. Might give it a wee clean, give it a paint as well once off. I'll give the rocker a really good clean there. I was going to paint it, but I can't really be asked, so it'll be fine. Right, I've got a new seal for it. Here we go. Oh. It's going to be pretty cool, like, with all the oil change and everything done. As long as I don't have any sort of major mechanical failure once we start driving on the road. There we go. Right, seal in. Let's just give this a wee. I don't think a wee bit of brake cleaner in your engine oil is going to be too bad, is it? I'm not changing the engine oil anyway, so it'll be fine. So there's a half moon in the back here, and I can't tell if it's leaking or not. Should I just pull it out and reseal it anyway? I don't know if I give it. I don't know if I got a new one for the film. I'll go see if I got a new one. Don't remember seeing one. Right, so unfortunately this did not come with a half moon seal, so we're going to have to reuse this one. But I'm not too concerned about reusing it, we'll just bog the shit out of it. Right. It's the best I can get it without actually seeing what I'm trying to clean, but it'll be better than nothing. Right. There we go. Right, and then our rocker gasket. On our rocker here, I'm going to put a wee bit of bog on. Press that back down again. A wee bit of bog. Actually put it in the thing. Why did I come out so slow? There's loads left in it. That's at max too. Anyway. And then I'll just put a wee bit of bog along here as well, just to help the top two mating surfaces seal together. Come on, you bogs. That'll probably be enough anyway. Right. Right, nice clean rocker cover going on. There we go. And our half moon still in. It's all bogged in. That's nice and tight. Right. We'll get the seals for the bolts now. Right, so it came with these. Ah, bastard. First of all, before we continue here, look at that for a body catch. Like, I've hit my head so many times out there. I had a rag wrapped around it for a while, but Jesus Christ, it's so sore. Right, anyway, where was I? Right. So we need these bolts here. Are the bolts just the rubber things? There's one. Oh. And two. basically clean these up now. I'll go clean these up just to make myself feel better. Oh God. My head is so sore from hitting it off that bonnet catch. Oh, probably gonna have a cut in my body head. I put that right the wrong way. I don't want to rack these rubber things, but they do look like they're starting to deform a bit. I'll just leave it like that. Right, where's the cap? It's the next day now, and yesterday we finished up by just cleaning around the engine bay. So we have the rocker cover and all on. I actually had to take it all apart again and put this back on. I say all apart again, take the 2 bolts out and put this rod back in, but that's done now. Hopefully it doesn't leak. So it's first thing in the morning. Don't really want to make a lot of noise, so I'm going to put the rod in. There's a bit of work to do around the fuel pump here. I haven't got any of the wires connected or anything, but we'll get this rod in first. But before I start with the rod, I'm going to fish out all my tools that are all around this engine bay. I know I just said in that last clip that I was going to try and put the radiator on right now, but instead of that there, we're going to fit the steering idler arm, because at the minute I can get to the steering box there with the spanner, whereas with the radiator I can't get it. So I want to take a wee bit of play out of the steering box. I also painted this cross member here while we had the radiator out still, because we did a bit of welding over here earlier. So this is our steering idler arm here. I have cleaned all the heads of the bolts up and glued them up, so they should all come out pretty easily. And I also cleaned the rest of this brake pipe up and put some red oxide on it, so that's done as well. I'm actually happy with that there. That's probably the best brake pipe, the best original brake pipe on the car. Right, I wonder if I could just get that out with a nut gun. One. I think I'm going to crack this off at the bottom first. And to do that there, I need a 19. Two gentle hits with a hammer. There we go. Right, easy as that. This is probably the quickest job I think I've done in this car so far. Split pin goes in. Whether it make a big difference or not is another question. Definitely tight. Definitely tight. Definitely tight. Alright, let's go see what it feels like at the steering wheel. I'm not really going to know if I've over adjusted this until I have it on the road. Try to turn the corner, and if it doesn't automatically self-center itself, we've probably over tensioned it. But I get it 3/4 of a turn. That's it down there. And on the steering wheel feels quite good now. I think you're meant to have about 50mm of play in it, but it's not fighting me to turn the steering wheel. And we have that much play now. So it is what it is. Radiator's all in, the hoses and everything are on. I do need to fill it up with some water. I think I'm gonna put a dishwasher towel in it and try and give that a flush round as well. Right, onto the fuel pump. You can see this wee switch here. It's busted in this pump. So I've got another pump. I'm gonna rub this switch off. Another thing I can't really come to terms with at the minute is, so I can rev that far, whatever this is. I think this is my kickdown cable, but no matter what I do, I can't get that to rev harder unless I pull that out and do that. So I'm gonna have to do a bit of googling. Maybe if the car has to be in gear for it to be able to rev harder, I don't know. I'm not really sure about that, but I'm going to put that back in for the time being. And then I need to get ignition live for my fuel pump here. So I was thinking I was just going to tap into the back of this loom here for the fuel solenoid, and we'll just use that to power a relay. I shouldn't put any extra load on the circuit. It's only a relay. Yep, so here's the switch here, and this nicely moves in and out, whereas this one's seized. We'll have that switch on now. We need to connect a few more wires up, but before I do that, I want to tap that wire for that relay. So it's been a wee bit of time there. I've got a relay sitting here. It's bolted onto the side, and that powers this fuel pump. We also have the switch wired up for the glow plugs. Also, I found this. So this sensor in here is broken. It's like a 2-pin sensor. It goes here. That controls the glow plug. So if I get a sensor, maybe my original glow plug circuit will start working again. That would be nice. Another thing is the kickdown cable. Remember, I was like trying to get it to work. I couldn't get it to work. So this is now turned into quite a job. I'll show you now underneath. This remnants of a cable here, 2 inches long, is my kickdown cable, and it is seized solid onto the actual inner, well, the outer seized onto the inner there. So I'm going to have to order a new cable, and I'm going to take the sump off, because I think I have to take the sump off to get to the other side of this cable, but I also want to take the sump off to fit the new filter I have and change the oil in the gearbox. But that there is extremely annoying. It's another job. Well, there's not much I can really do about that situation right now. I do want to take this outside and start washing it. What time is it? Maybe not get it washed today. No. It's gonna be a job for during the week. I think one evening I'll take it outside and give it a good power hosing. I think we'll move on to the wing mirror. That there needs fixed, so that might be an easy one. Got the mirror off the car there, and you can see this is where it's broken at the bottom. Maybe another issue though. Don't know if it's meant to make that noise. So I managed to lathe up this wee bit of pipe here, and that there is going to be the bottom mount for our mirror, and then this is all the rust that came out of the inside of it. So I imagine that pipe was a lot longer at one stage, but I'm sure it'll be grand. So this bolted back on again now. It's nice and solid. That's a good job. Give it a coat of black paint too to make it a wee bit fresher. Okay guys, so I'm still pretty devastated about this whole kickdown cable situation. I have messaged a few breakers and stuff like that there. Most of them haven't got back to me, and the ones that have got back to me have said they don't usually remove the cables from the gearboxes to sell because it's too much hassle probably, and that usually just sell it with the gearboxes. So I haven't got one sourced at the minute. I have seen other ones for sale that might fit, I don't know, or I could make one. Another thing that happened that I can't remember if I said it or not about, but when I was nipping the bolts up for the exhaust manifold, one of the studs broke. I was only using a quarter ratchet mine as well, but so I took the exhaust manifold back off again, tried to drill it out, got a hole up the centre of one of them. Got a hole up the centre of the one that broke, and the next size drill bit, no matter what drill bit I used, cobalt ones and everything, it just would not drill through it. And then when I thought I got through it, I drilled a hole underneath it. So I then tried to tap that hole, and I have something in it. If you can see it, let me see. So that's that shiny stud there. So it's in there, it's nipped up. I've tightened it up with a quarter ratchet as tight as I would like to go. Well, the same as tightness as the rest of them. I stand in for now, and then started this yoke up, and it didn't blow. I was like, happy days for now anyway. And then oil started leaking everywhere, and I apparently have knocked the oil return off the turbo when I was wheeling the manifold about to try and get it out of the road so I can get the drill in there, to drill that there. So you can see there, that is all a rag covered in oil. So we have that to do with, so I'm going to do that now. Actually, I'm going to put that hose back on again. This is the joy of working in old cars, that either everything breaks or everything's already broken. Lovely. Well, I also give this wing a wee T-cut. I'm just in this top bit here, and it seems to have cleaned up quite well. I also T-cutted the pinstripe, and the gold has actually came back up on that. So you can see there, and then it goes to completely white. So that'll be pretty cool if that comes up, and I'll put a bit of wax over it. Should be mint. I also came out the back here and put on our repaired filler neck back in again. So that's that back in again. It's definitely better than it was. I'm going to put this pipe back on again, and then the next thing I'm going to do is probably wash it, because look at this. Bear in mind, I haven't washed this yet. I washed the underside, kind of, but I haven't actually washed the bodywork yet. So I'll put these in as well. We were blanks from where the wiper jets would have been. Not wiper jets, the headlight jets would have been. We do need to put filler on this still. Still plenty to do, but the bulk of the work's done, which I'm happy with. That wing mirror's a good job. I'm happy with that. So I think when we get it washed, we can go around all these trims and start painting this all black again, and just give it a really good refresh and polish. Really looking forward to that bit, where it starts to really look like something that hasn't been dragged out of a field for 10 years. Well, I don't think it was in a field, but it's been somewhere gross. So I got that oil drain hose back in the turbo again. I filled it up full of water and put a couple of dishwasher descaler tablets in it, and I'll run that through a couple of heat cycles, drain it, fill it up full of water, drain that again, and then we'll put some proper coolant in it, just to get rid of all the old rusty grime inside the block and stuff. I did clean the radiator as best I could, but can't be too safe. I've had it running here for a while now, so started up lovely even before I had it run, but we need to bolt it down still, but I haven't done any pump tuning yet. Haven't even tightened it up, it's just sitting in there. It's just started straight up, so I haven't messed with it yet. But it runs lovely. I'll shut it off here. Yeah, so at least know we'll have all the timing right, I think. I have the heat gun out here. It's not fully up to temperature yet, but there's it doing 36 degrees on the intake of the heat exchanger, 30 on the out, and the fuel is at 38 at the minute. So that's working well. Feels hotter than that, but what I know. So that's going to be us for this time. We did get a good bit done again. There's not really much left to finish now, really. I need to clean it. I need that cable, because that really annoying me.
and you get the headlights set and get the wheels on, and should be ready for an MOT hopefully. Can't believe I'm here already. Excellent. Okay guys, so thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.